When I first got here, everybody said, hey, you guys are never going to build a casino. You're never going to hit your diversity numbers. There's no way that you can possibly do the job all union and still meet certain project goals.
So I think our early thought was, let's go look at the state standards when they go do public works projects, which are a lot more aggressive than you would do for a private works project. And we took all of those targets right from the state standards. And we said, you know what, not only we're going to meet them, we're going to try to exceed them.
And the real goal is to make sure that there's opportunities for everyone to work on the construction project.
But when MGM first came along about 6 years ago, I was somewhat skeptical. For all this talk of, we're going to do this in the community, we're going to hire this many minorities, we're going to hire this many veterans. At the time when I first heard it, it almost seemed too good to be true.
MGM comes into town and says, we're going to do this, and we're going to do it in a very real way. And I had heard that stuff before. I've been doing this almost 30 years now.
MGM from day one has committed to putting diversity on the project, as well as residents, women, minorities, and veterans.
We're actually tracking every worker hour worked by gender status, veteran status, and ethnicity. So to do that, you need a buy-in from the companies that are going to work for you, that they are required to meet these goals. And required is key because in many instances, a diversity program is best efforts. From day one, we've said this is not best efforts, this is required.
Like the first question always had to be is, okay, how many veterans do you have? How many women do you have? And making sure they had the proper count. So we'd literally go around and count. So a lot of times we had a lot more diversity than we thought.
The first time I met Brian Packer, the very first thing he said to me was, somebody came up with very aggressive diversity goals for the company. They're important to me that we hit these goals. So I need you to go all in, to get all out there into the community, make the partners that are going to be needed so that we can hit these goals and hold people accountable. And you have my full sources, you have my full support.
So that's what we did. And we started off, we just basically grassroots. We went out and got names of people, names of minorities, names of women, veterans, and then it was a matter of staying on it.
So when we did the first outreach call and we said, if you are a local or a diverse person in the union, we want to meet you and we want to know about you, my office hours got booked pretty fast.
You know, it's been, again, a collaboration, everybody talking to everybody and making sure that, hey, there's this person out in the community who's looking for a job, or, you know, we still have need for a woman in this area. So it's been going back and forth. It takes a village.
Because of the diversity requirements, and everything starts from the top down. And when MGM sets a standard like that, it goes right down to Tishman with Randy Pitts, and then it goes right down to the subcontractors and to my foremans. You know, and that's what they're serious about it. So there is no question.
Without Tishman, we could not have made that happen. One of the strongest activities that Tishman did, they created a database of local and diverse companies. They spent the first 2 or 3 months just out there meeting companies, identifying them, going through our diversity certification partners, sending people out to meet with them, seeing what their capabilities are. We were able to create this comprehensive local and diverse database that we now have.
You know, Brian, Shalon, and myself figured out very early on that we needed to partner with the unions. They needed to be our allies. The unions and Tishman, our GC/CM, worked very, very hard to make sure that everybody understood that best efforts wasn't going to be good enough, that these were real goals that we intended to make and exceed.
I mean, partnering with MGM is putting the local people to work. They came to us and, you know, all these people are getting in Western Massachusetts, and they're staying in Western Massachusetts, and they're getting a career with great benefits and health care and great wages.
The unions have been one of our greatest assets in this whole effort. We could not have done or met our goals without the unions. The unions are doing it organically now. They're doing it on their own. We don't have to keep preaching to them about diversity. They've actually adopted it, and it's a goal of the union themselves. It's not just the owner goal anymore.
Our membership for females has quadrupled. And they're here, they're on this job, but they're not going away. they're going to be going to the next job.
Yeah, I can tell you our women membership has increased dramatically, and we've got a lot of good laborers out there, women laborers, doing the job out there and getting it done.
We can't do this on our own. The community has to feel just as much vested as to making sure we hit these goals for the project. So get them to the table, have them there at the beginning. To engage the community, the first thing I did, and Brian Packer, directed me to when I got here, he said, I want you to spend a month doing nothing but meeting with every community-based agency that there is. Any community organization that works with veterans, minorities, that does small business development for diverse companies, make people aware of who you are, what you do, meet people, take an inventory, keep a database.
Shalon being a big foothold in the community, she was able to pull people in. Community Partners Network first started when Shalon Brown started working with the Diversity Initiative on Construction.
Veterans Inc. is outstanding 501c3. We predominantly work with housing veterans and providing employment systems. A lot of our guys, just like our Springfield residents, are just people that need a chance, just people that need an opportunity to get back in the workforce.
And Freddie Lopez, because we know each other from our work in the community, actually told me about the CPN. It was very early on in the stages, and he said not only can your population that you're servicing use this, but we just think that your advocacy and you're very vocal, and just some of your thought process on how we should go about reaching out to the community would be very useful.
We all just collaborated and said this is the goal. We didn't even know goals, and we just started saying, okay, how do we get people in the unions? How do we get the unions to open up and allow these people to go into the unions? And then how do we place them into jobs at MGM's construction site? And we picked it apart. Everybody brought something to the table. We all worked together.
We reached out to literally hundreds, if not over 1,000, of Springfield residents, women, veteran, minorities, who have applied on the website and said we would like to know more. We called each and every single one of those people from 4:30 p.m. to about 9, and then another 5-hour block that night. Everyone was excited to hear from us. It was very, I thought I'd get an email, I thought I'd get something. No, they got actual phone calls from actual people. So if the individual said, okay, I don't meet this qualification, well, it just so happens we have these resources. Please come to our resource fair, or please come to our training that we have set up. So not only did the CPN reach out to these people, we did our best to provide the residents of Springfield with the tools to be successful.
Seeing MGM Springfield take the steps in getting more minorities, veterans, women out to work is a huge win for everybody. And it's nice to see owners and contractors taking those first steps instead of being forced to. They want to.
Hearing from the locals that MGM made a lot of promises, a lot of commitments to local hire and local economic impact. And that came through with the application process. And I think what we've seen is that MGM's success in meeting its diversity goals through construction just reaffirms kind of what we already knew or what we had learned. But it was nice to actually see it happen right in front of our own eyes.
The Gaming Commission and legislature sold to the public as an economic development opportunity, and that's what it's been. 2,000 construction workers, all of whom got paychecks and are spending money downtown, helping their neighbors with their businesses. And then the 3,000 employees that we're bringing into the resort, many of them we're introducing to the industry for the first time.
We met every diversity goal. We involved local businesses. We work with folks who were not union to maybe get them in the union and taught them how to do that.
Really proud of the effort from Brian Packer, VP of Construction, Tishman, all the folks that we've got employed on the site. They took those targets seriously. I think we end up probably paying more for them because a lot of the bidders we got said, we're not signing up for these type of aggressive targets and requirements. But we found the contractors that were largely local that believed in what we're trying to do and went through the extra work to go find people in the union halls and to find some of the smaller firms that they hadn't worked for before, which is another big advantage because now we got people working on the project that hadn't been part of a big project before.
Here at MGM in Springfield is the biggest job Ultimate Abatement has ever undertaken, and it's been very exciting, very challenging.
They have never disappointed me in the commitment to diversity, and the proof is in the people who are working on this site today.
I served in the Marine Corps. I was in the infantry unit. I was a tow gunner. It was a good experience for me. I've always been interested in doing construction work. And then when I saw that MGM was coming here, it was like, yeah, this was a perfect opportunity to say, I'd like to be on this project.
If this opportunity didn't exist, I don't think that I'd be where I'm at.
a lot of the things that everybody said would never happen, they've all happened. And so we will have the ability to show that path, show that journey, show that when we say something here, it will actually get done here. And I think that's important, that at the end of the day, you're following through with what you